Hi everyone. For this section, I thought we'd have a little bit, talk a little bit about hands and the similarities and differences between different species of mammals. So, just very quickly, so here is one, and here is another. Could be human, could be animal. We'll go over that in just a second. And here is a third one. So what I wanted to do is very quickly is just a quick breakdown here of the anatomy of each of the hands. So right in here we have the carpals, we have the metacarpals, okay, then we have the phalanges, and as you can see we have the proximal, the medial, and the distal. Proximal, medial, distal on all four of these digits, and then we have the thumb. So the thumb has the metacarpal, then it has the proximal and the distal. It is missing the medial. So that is a basic breakdown of that particular one. And here we have another hand. This is the carpals. Then through here we have the metacarpals, and we have the phalanges. Again, we have the proximal, medial, and distal, proximal, medial, and distal of each of these four digits. Then we have the thumb. Up here we have the metacarpal, then we have the proximal phalange and the distal phalange. So that's the anatomy of a second hand. And then this is the third. So in here we have the carpals, we have the metacarpals, and we have here the phalanges on each one, and this would be the thumb. So again, we have the metacarpal and the phalange. And just to give you an indication, comparing this kind of to my size, so here we have this hand, and if I were to put my hand over it, kind of give you a sense of the size and proportion. And here with this one, as you can see, these fingers are a little bit longer than mine. And then we have the third one, and as you can see, so we fairly close in size to my hand for the most part. And now we'll go over what is what. So here we have it. So this actually is the hand of a chimpanzee. And this is the human hand. This is what is known as a forensic bear paw. They keep these in a lot of areas that are close to wildlife outdoor areas, because frequently people will come across these in the wilderness and they'll find them just like this, and people think, oh no, something happened, we found human remains. But in this particular case, it is the paw of a bear. And so, as you'll notice, we have the carpals, we have the metacarpals, we have the phalanges. So here we have the proximal, we have the medial, but the distal are missing. So why would the distal be missing? Well, this is why. Frequently when people come across this is actually the same front paw. And as you can see, we have the carpals, the metacarpals, the phalanges, so here are the proximal, medial, and distal. But the distal is where the claws are. And so frequently what happens is people come across these and they love the claws and they pick them up. So ultimately the distal phalange is these wonderful, powerful claws that you would find on the bear. So that's the anatomy comparison between the chimpanzee, the human, and then the bear. Forensic bear paw, actual bear paw. And that the anatomical structure is basically identical. A lot of times when artists are learning to first draw hands, they find it incredibly challenging and incredibly difficult. But once you learn the exact anatomy, the underlying structure, it makes it so much easier to draw. A helpful thing to think of when you're drawing the human hand is to think of the distance between here, the top of the carpals, to the end of the first metacarpal is the halfway point. And then the second section here is the other halfway point. So you can keep the proportions more or less in mind, and then it's just a matter of getting all the individual directions and character and expression of the fingers. So that's a basic rundown of the anatomy of what would be the human paw, or the human hand, or the animal's front paw on the forelimb.